Hello, and welcome to another fully live episode of Hacking with Friends. My name is Kody Kinzie. I am a security researcher at Varonis, and today I am going to be answering your hacker-related questions. And I am back in the studio after being, in a little glass office at Supply Frame in Pasadena, getting ready for SuperCon. So last time, in all the chaos and confusion, I ended up beginning the stream without fully going live. So everything started, but it didn't go live for some reason. So thank you to everyone who helped me figure out I was basically broadcasting to myself for a solid 18 minutes at Design Lab. So that stream ended up working out. I got some practice in, and then I went and did the rest of it. But yeah, if you were there, then thank you for letting me know that I wasn't going out of my mind. I was just like, wow, nobody's really reacting to the stream. There's a lot of chat, like talking about how you can't hear my audio. It's my audio, it ended up working out. But anyway, thank you to all of the people on the stream. You all are wonderful and helped me figure out that I was broadcasting to no one relatively quickly. All right, so assuming I'm broadcasting this time, I kind of feel like I should have to ask now. Of course, I am also sometimes, responsible for getting the stream up and running as well as the content. So things happen. It's no big deal, especially when I'm traveling. But super excited for SuperCon. They finally released all the things I wasn't able to talk about. So they showed off some of the badge photos. I think I can probably pull some up in a little bit. But essentially, they are just holders for lots and lots of SAOs, simple add-ons, we'll call them on the show. So yeah, it's pretty exciting because it means you can maximize the number that you're doing. I know I heard some people in the community were making SAOs of SAOs. So their simple add-ons had their own simple add-on standard to add additional simple add-ons, and they could kind of branch off from there. So I see a lot of craziness happening, and I know a lot of my friends who make electronics have decided to throw their hat in the ring for SuperCon this year. So yeah, really exciting. Also, hello to everyone. Mile crashing, so that's also very exciting. There we go. Now, so talking a little about these Okay. Wow. Cool. I maybe we're back. Sorry about that, everyone. My computer hard crashed, refused to acknowledge that Chrome existed, and then after a hard reboot, we are back. So all my demos are gone. I love doing live demos, don't you? So now I get to do them all from scratch. Isn't that the best way to do everything? Cool. All right. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to talk about SAOs, and we're going to go through what I was going to do all the way from the beginning. I'm sorry, everyone. So, man, I've been asking for this computer to get replaced for literally 2 years. I wonder if that will ever happen. All right. So when we're talking about SAOs, we are talking about small, simple things that either blink or eliminate the need for batteries or other things that are intimidating for beginners. So when we are making something for a circuit board, then we typically have a bunch of components we need to worry about. We have the PCB, which I showed off a little bit last time. Is this going to open for me? I guess let's see. Yes. Uh-huh. Okay. And I think I showed up last time that this was my circuit board. It has a lot of cool art stuff on it. And I also took a little bit of a shortcut. There's another integrated circuit. There's another breakout board that is almost exactly the same as the one that I'm attempting to use for this, that is included in Kicad. And I was like, wow, that's so convenient. I can just do this. So if I do this, hopefully everyone can see. Oh no, it opens in the wrong window. There we go. This is my board from the artistic side of things. Now, in order to make this all like blinky and work, like naturally we need a footprint here. And I was lucky enough to find one in Kicad, but most of the time that's not going to be the case. You're not going to be able to find the perfect footprint for exactly what you need. So let me, actually, no, never mind. I do need Firefox. I changed my mind. So let me pull up the board we're going to use today. It's going to be a ESP32S3 Keycat. No, Waveshare. So most of the time we're going to be working off of a data sheet or something. And in this case, let me pull. All right, here we go. This is what we want. This is what I'm going to be using. This cool, cute little board that is going to give me everything I need all built in. I just wanted the photo. Oh, right. Okay. So here it is. So like I said, I managed to find another board that has the exact same pin spacing. That's really useful. But if I wanted to use this for my SAO, then how would I actually add this if a footprint didn't exist in Kicad? So, and also thank you to everybody who is welcoming me back. Trying to manage the streaming side of the stream is also often very frustrating. Yeah, so all right, so let's say that we want to use this. So how would we actually go about doing this? Well, most of the time it's got board specifications. It'll have a data sheet. Here it's just bragging about everything. And we can see like there's a lot of things that we could also additionally use if we really wanted to. Now you can see that there's all these extra pins on the bottom. That's really cool. But really we're just going to deal with these castellated pins. And castellated means that it's like basically it's like a through hole pin that goes all the way out to the side, has all this extra space for soldering, but it can also be done via through hole. Now, for the purposes of what I'm doing, I'm treating this as just like a soldering pad. So it's going to be flat. I'm not going to be doing through hole. I'm going to be doing SMD instead. So that's an important distinction because you kind of have to decide with these modules. And it's nice, though, to have the option. So these obviously have all sorts of cool stuff. They're going to enable that awesome demo that I showed off where I'm like visualizing invisible Wi-Fi like packets. But in order to do this, we need to place our footprint. And we have all this information. We've got the pin definitions. How wonderful. But what we really need is this, the outline dimensions. So if we want to make our own footprint, this is actually, I think this is more or less exactly what we need. So we might need to get the actual like pad size like a little bit correct, but for just making a rough footprint, associating it with the correct pins, it shouldn't actually be that difficult. So let me show exactly how to do this in case you want to use something like this and create a like an SAO or something like that using a footprint. And again, I'm just kind of learning this, and I had a great guide I was going to share with all of you before everything got nuked. So here in Kicad, I can go to the footprint editor. There's a couple steps that I might forget, maybe, I guess we'll see. Yeah, so I'm going to right mouse click on a library and do a new footprint. And then I'm going to name it. And this is also where we can decide whether it's an SMD or through hole pad or design. So in this case, it really matters. And the difference between the two is a SMD or surface mount design is going to be something that is soldered flat. It is going to be much more manufacturable by machines. And you'll find that there are a lot of modules that are done this way in order to conserve space and make it so it's easy to mass produce these. A through hole design is different. It means that, you know, you're putting pins through the holes and then you're soldering them all together. It's going to take a little bit more time and a little bit more space in most cases. And often manufacturers prefer SMD for just efficiency. They can set up a machine to do it. You can like solder paste and then use a machine to pick and place a whole bunch of these all at the same time. So in this case, we're going to do an SMD design, which is cool. I just again want to point out that this part that I'm using, this microcontroller, actually could do either. So it's really cool that if I wanted to, I could also do a through hole design for this if I'm feeling a little bit intimidated with the SMD. So kind of a hybrid one that I thought was pretty interesting. All right, so gonna make a new footprint. And then here, I just want to show off like the basics of doing this. So here we can see that this is 18 by 23.5. So the way that this like whole thing works is by grid sizes and like by snapping to different things on that grid size. So in this case, we need to be able to snap to like a 0.5 grid size. So I think like this, let's try this out. So if I want to do, what was it? 18 by 23.5. Let me see if it lets me do it. So I'm going to go to a square. Oops. Come on, Kicad. Oh my God, please work. All right, maybe if I move this to my other screen, it'll let me select the tool. Okay, yes, it has now let me select the tool. Why that happens, I have no idea. So let's try it again. Whoa, we're lost in space. Where's our reference? There we go. Okay, sometimes these design tools freak me out. All right, so here we're gonna try to go to, oh, no, okay, so I've set it too high. So in my ignoring of the decimal, I have made it so that I'm instead snapping to 5 millimeters. So let's try 0.5. So I wanna do 18 by, I've already forgotten, 23.5. Yeah, so that's it. 18 by 23.5. So this should be the appropriate area. That looks more or less correct. So then if I hit M, I can move this over and kind of place it in the center of the reference area. And that should be good enough for now. And if you're OCD and are noticing that like it's not perfectly centered, then yeah, that's just me. That's just how I operate. All right, so we've got a basic area, and now from what I understand, I need to convert this into an area where I am basically telling the manufacturer to not put other stuff there. So I need to specify that I want to keep things out. And in this case, if I right mouse, let me see, I'm gonna switch to this tool. I'm gonna right mouse click on it, and I'm gonna say create from selection, and then create rule area from selection. And what I want to do is first uncheck delete source objects after conversion. I want to keep them. And then I'm going to get rid of keep out tracks, keep out vias, and instead keep out footprints. So basically keep out pads and keep out footprints is just telling the manufacturer that I don't want to put any other stuff in here. And I want to make sure that it stays, you know, like clear for the part that's going to be like put down in this space. So I'm going to hit OK. And now there's like this hashed kind of output around it. And if I hit the option 3, then of course it opens the wrong window, but then I get this footprint here. So we're just getting started, but this is like the first requisite thing of what to do. So this is like the base thing. I've got the size, I've got everything else. Now I need to go to the reference and I need to take a look at the part dimension. So I can see here that all the different pads are 2.54 millimeters apart. So I need to be able to snap basically to that size and have all these different pads then be from center to center of the pad about that distance. So over here, I'm just going to do this in kind of a basic way and a very lazy way, but I'll show you how lazy people do this because maybe that's how you'll want to too. So here I can select the pad. There's also, I think I can like, you know, select like different pads, but this happens to be the type of pad I'm already looking for. So that's fine. You can see it's just like a flat pad and I can modify these to be different if I want to. So I'm going to also put my pad basically all the way up against the edge. And again, I need to make sure that I can snap to the correct distance. So this is 2.5. This needs to be 2.54. If you kind of poke around in the grid, you'll notice that there's a lot of like kind of random ones. 2.54. Oh, wow, how convenient. The exact spacing that I need. Okay, great. It's almost as though it was standardized. So I'm going to place this, let's say, here. And then I'm going to do another one and another one. And before I go too far, I can then take this measuring tool and do like center to center and make sure that I have not messed this up somehow. 2.54, and quite largely as well. Okay, cool. So that looks correct. This is actually looking pretty good. So let me go back over here. So I'm going to keep placing pads. And if I go over to the reference, I can see we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pads. One, okay, yeah. Is that? Okay. So now what I can do also is I can space these appropriately by selecting them all and then changing, let's say that these need to be within 1.59 of the top. So I don't think that there is one of those. 1.59. No, I don't think so. We have like 0.508. But I'm just going to select that for now as a reference. And then I can move this around and see if I can space it a little bit more accurately for where it needs to be. So I think that this is pretty close. And honestly, provided it's consistent on both sides, like I think it should be fine since there's not a lot else going on my board. But I'm going to, I will double check this before I do it. Now, I also want to point out, I probably want to move this over a little bit. And I don't want it too far over, but I do want it to be basically touching the side here. And if I look, I think that like I could flood this with copper and make it so it really makes contact like on the inside here. But I would want it to probably just be a little bit on, if not the outside, just up to the edge here as well. So I'm not going to worry too much about it yet, but that's just something I would do if I wanted to make this design a little bit better. So, all right, so now I have the other side to do as well. And what I'm going to do is be lazy. Like, so I'm just going to take this, select them again, copy, and paste them. And look at that. So now, provided I'm snapping to, let's make sure I'm snapping to the same 2.54. Okay, now that I'm still snapping to this, if I come over here, oh, I can get closer on this side. All right. Well, this is more what I'm looking for, is like it basically like kind of touching the side, and Kicad might not like that. We'll see if it doesn't like that, but that's kind of the idea here. So let me try moving it in just so it's symmetrical. All right, so that's where we are for now. And you'll notice now that the numbers are wrong. So how do we fix that? Well, I can go in and oops, I don't want all that. We can go in and we can adjust like every single one, or we can just select all of them and then change them automatically. Sorry, I'm just going to move these to the outside. It's bothering me because I do want to make sure that the solder is going to flow all the way and use as much as the pad as possible. No, not just one. Wait, yes, to that one. So as I select all these, is it? I feel like it's not selecting them. Why? Why are you not obeying me? Come on. What? Sorry, okay, there we go. Ugh, I thought the computer was turning on me. No. It was okay. It is turning on me a little bit, but not in a way I'm too worried about. All right, so I'm just going to select all these pins. I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to say that I want to renumber pins. So we're already at 9, and let's say that I want to start at 10, and then I want to do a step of 1. So that means like each pin increases by 1. So this would be useful if I wanted to do a step of 2. Like if one side was even, one side was odd, like that would be useful. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to start with 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And there we go. All right. So we've renumbered our pins. This is not, by the way, how these pins actually are. Like the next step would be for me to go through and actually make sure that it matches like this example here. And it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then like, RX, TX, other random ones. So then if I wanted, let's say that if I did want to name this correctly, and this is 5 volts, I'm going to switch back here. And I think that then I can select this, and this is now 5 volts. Which one? Neither of them feel right. I guess no, it's capital. Okay, there. So we've got a 5-volt pin now, and then we got that. And then if we want to also make sure that the person who's putting this together is able to reference it properly, we can select the text tool. And then let's say we do 5 volts. And we can then place that right next to this. And also, if we wanted to rotate it, we could do that here. So let's say I want it 5 volts this way. I don't know why I would want that, but let's just say that that's the way I do. Place it. And then when I do option E, oh my gosh, don't you rebel on me, computer. I'm so skittish about Kicad and this demo in general today after everything that's happened. There we go. Okay. Whew, that was horrifying. So, all right, what do we see here? We see that we've got a silk screen layer that is going to show us like what the number of the pad is, or you know, other information we need to assemble it, or at least orient it correctly so we don't flip it upside down and put it on backwards. We've got these shiny pads, sort of, there we go, shiny pads, which are ready for soldering. So that means we'll be able to place our component down on top of this. And again, like for the type that I'm doing, I might even place this just outside the footprint if I want to make sure the pads are really, really big and easy to solder. What's important here is making sure that the dimensions are accurate according to the footprint, again, which is referenced here. So provided we have a data sheet that shows us all these dimensions, like what the distance should be between all these parts, and provided that they all look like consistent for what we're expecting, then we should be able to work with this in order to create a footprint. So yeah, like I think that in general, we don't need to mess with this USB port because it's not in the way of anything. 18 to 18, yeah, that looks right. And we can kind of just check these dimensions as we go and make sure they work. So I can see, I wish that there was a like pin to pin like through on this side, because I'm interested in checking that. I think there is on like another data sheet, but either way, that's how we go about creating a footprint. And then once we save this, we should be able to add it to our PCB and connect a component that otherwise might not be supported in Kicad. So obviously, I've still got some work to do on this, but that's the basics. I would just go on and continue to label the pins accurately and then save this, and I would be able to then import this and use it in my Kicad project. So that is the very basics of going from the artistic side of your PCB over to the functional side, taking a component that maybe you got off of, like me, AliExpress for like a couple of dollars, and then figuring out how to add it to your PCB project. This took me about an hour to learn, and there's still probably some things that I may have done wrong. So if you're an electronics person and you are noticing that I'm like missing a step, or there's just like anything else that I have left out, then please let me know. But next time I'm gonna finish up with the schematic and also just get this shipped out, because the last step is gonna be routing this, and I think that that's just about it. So as long as we have our custom footprint, we have everything that is measured and looking correct, and we have the ability to then route it and make sure that everything looks good in a simulation, then we should be good to ship this PCB out. Whether or not it makes it in time for SuperCon, I do not know. However, I'm going to give it my best shot, and it should be a lot of fun. Now, I also, always like to shout out things that are useful. And in this case, I just want to, oh, no, wait, sorry, all of my links got nuked. All right, well, I got a new soldering iron, and it was very cheap, and I will show it to you on my Mastodon. All right, so I'm going to go through the chat real quick, and also I'm going to see if I can pull up some of the questions that we got on the YouTube channel, just because we had some really good ones, and I don't want to miss out on anyone who left one on the official way of leaving us comments. Studio. What's the best hacking forum? That's one, I'm going to have to throw that one to the audience. I honestly worked at Nullbyte, and since then I've transitioned over to video, so I haven't really been active on too many hacking forums, actually. I've more stuck to like higher level content creators that are making stuff that are like, showing off projects. I haven't been in any hacking forums. So if you have any recommendations, that might be something the audience could shout out. It used to be Nullbyte, but that was actually before I worked there. All right, so let me show off the screen. All right, so first, on my last video on how to track how Wi-Fi tracks your location, I got some generally positive feedback, which I appreciate. I am always looking out for you. Do not worry. So next up is some advice, which is never use a Russian antivirus. You never know what information they're actually getting. I advise against anything. Google has its nasty paws in. Okay, all right. Yeah, so I mean, the whole like argument here was that Kaspersky was a part of a data breach in which a government contractor that had access to some pretty nasty American cyber weapons used Kaspersky, and after it detected those cyber weapons, it basically allowed exfiltration to Russian intelligence services. So that's obviously not good, and that is why, in part, they were forcibly removed from the country as a software vendor. Some other people were saying that this doesn't seem legal, and that is in response to Kaspersky deleting itself and then installing a different antivirus. This was done without customer consent. This was just, you know, opt in, like, or sorry, this was opt out rather, where like this was just going to happen whether you liked it or not, and they did not do a great job of telling customers about it. Obviously, that riles some people up, and having unknown software just installed randomly on your computer is confusing and disorienting, especially when it included new VPN configurations. Because typically, if you see new software on your computer you've never seen before, and it's installing like VPN routes and controlling your traffic, like that is a serious thing to be worried about. So yeah, a lot of people were very, very concerned about this. Let's see. Yeah, and other general complaints. So question that I haven't been able to get on yet, and that's talking about Wireshark in general. Like if you're using a filter, it should be working, but there's also a lot of default filters you can use and then kind of like configure to be more specific to what you're looking for. Somebody weighing in and giving away spoilers, which I won't read on my Hackers React to Mr. Robot video. And then a vote for Red Hat Linux. I wonder. My friend and former sometimes co-host on the show is dressing up as the Linux penguin for Halloween. We found the costume yesterday, and it was $5, so it's totally worth it. So stay tuned, hopefully, for pictures of that. Bro defending me from, I think, probably Michael, cutting me off during the Maltego Ocean investigation video. I appreciate that. And then, again, we have fans of binary voting that as the best beginner hacking language. I appreciate all of that. Any information about the deep dive on ESP32? So no, not at the moment. So I have actually been working on, of course, all my stuff is nuked. I have been working on a number of different things, but I have mostly been trying to get this PCB out and get some Meshtastic infrastructure up and running. So as a result, I don't have an update on using the ESP32 or microcontrollers for WPA3. Again, it does appear to be supported. I tried a basic sketch and I wasn't able to get it connected immediately. Like it seemed like something was going on with it. But oh, here we go. All right, I think this is working now. So I wanted to shout out some intriguing and interesting designs that I found on Thingiverse for Meshtastic. I've been doing some of these hidden nodes that I mentioned before, where there's a 3D printed top that some of you generously said looked like a vacuum attachment. Yes, it does. Now, this actually cuts a component out, and at the expense of looking kind of honestly like a pipe bomb, which is concerning, it eliminates the need for a non-standard top and lets you use a standard, I think this is like a 1-inch pipe, something like that, PVC pipe in order to conceal both a Meshtastic node and also an antenna. The entire thing is integrated. It seems really clean, honestly. And when it comes to creating these sorts of sneaky nodes, I think this is one of my favorite designs that I've seen. So this is, sorry, to non-answer your question, but this is what I've been working on instead, is understanding what some of the most efficient ways of creating a hidden Meshtastic node would be, and how you can do it for less and less and less money. This is my current iteration, which is stuffing one inside of a PVC pipe and 3D printing an enclosure that kind of holds it all into place. So the print is fairly simple. It is just kind of this rack. It's almost like a little like server rack for the Meshastic device. I am trying some of these out actively, and I have to say they are pretty impressive. So now that I've got my own little mesh network across my local area, I will have some more reports back on what types of mesh infrastructure and mesh setups are useful. Now, we talked about the security implications of this a while ago, and there have been some updates to this. So, of course, my demo on this is now destroyed thanks to the computer completely restarting. But I'll go over it kind of on a high level. Meshastic devices like this, potentially anyway, like this badge we created for DEF CON, are very versatile. They can be managed directly. They can be managed over serial. They can be managed over Bluetooth. They can be managed over Wi-Fi. There's lots of different ways they can be managed, but they can also be managed over the LoRa radio. So you can actually set them up to accept commands and execute them remotely. So if you've got a node in a place that's really hard to get to, it's worth it to set these up. And I was going to show exactly how to do that. But basically, the process is you create a secret channel that has a special key that you and other people on that channel know. All communication will be encrypted. And while other radios will be able to forward these packets, they won't be able to read them. Now, that's important because currently in Meshastic, if you are sending direct messages while connected to like the main default channel, then those messages are readable by any node that they pass through. So this upgrade in security is designed to prevent eavesdropping and make it so that if you're sending commands to a node, they're not able to be replayed or read. So let's say that we have this node that we want to control remotely. We set it up with a channel called admin, and then we also set up a key. So let's say that I want to be able to control this node from my own personal node, and I can generate a public and private key, put that key into the node that I want to administer remotely. And then even if someone were to get access to my admin channel, they wouldn't be authorized to administer this node remotely. So once I create a channel that is a admin channel, and then I add myself as the authorized admin, then I can control these nodes wherever they are, and I can send them any command that I would be able to send a node that's connected via serial. So that's really cool. I can learn about neighbors. I can enable modules. And one of the modules I'm particularly excited about trying out is the packet counter. So that uses the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth radio to try to measure how many people are around. So it'll do a reading and try to figure out whether or not a certain amount of people are nearby by their cellular devices. Like maybe they have headphones, maybe they have like a laptop or something that allows me to do a count of roughly how many people are around. This is telemetry information you can include, so you can measure whether space is occupied or not in a number of ways. One of them is with like a motion sensor or a presence detection sensor, but the other way is actually with a packet counter that's looking for an increase in devices. Now, what's cool is you can also set like a floor limit. So if you do a scan of an area and determine that there's usually like 4 devices, then you can set it so that it only goes off or it only sends an alert when there are more than the normal number of devices nearby. So I think that's pretty cool. Like in terms of creating an invisible like security camera or like presence detector, the ability to use one of these nodes to like alert you from miles away that there's somebody nearby just by their smartphone. Like most people are not gonna think to disable that, or they're going to turn off their Wi-Fi and think that it's actually off and not know about the assisted GPS thing that's always turning it on and using it to find your location. So pretty cool, pretty effective. And I'm looking forward to how my remote nodes are able to measure human activity throughout the city. Now, this is also one of the reasons why cities like to provide those like free Wi-Fi services. Like some of that is honestly the fact that it gives them a lot of information about how many people pass by certain areas in a day. So by tracking these devices, you can learn a lot about people. And I'm excited to see some of the potentials for these LoRa mesh networks to potentially like report back information about specific nodes, to basically like listen for specific devices. I think that there's like an interesting surveillance aspect to this, where these mesh nets can actually look for tire pressure monitor sensors or things like that that could track a vehicle or a person across the city and report back on where they are. So yeah, all sorts of interesting things. We've also talked about the security implications of mesh networks, where if you are using them to do things like command and control of malware, you can be miles and miles away from the compromised computer. And provided there's a small LoRa radio that's able to sit there and provide the actual long-range communication, then there's a lot you can do with a computer. Although I will say it's probably going to be pretty difficult to exfiltrate stolen data over LoRa, provided, unless it's just like a little bit of information like passwords or something like that. All right, sorry, checking the chat again. I kind of got started talking about that. How many police are in the area? Yeah, so one thing that is definitely possible to do is configure these to look for police equipment. So that's going to be like a police body cam, which I confirmed, have Bluetooth integrated, and in the past they were not changing their MAC address. So that's a static MAC address you could absolutely track. You could track all sorts of things. And because also the manufacturer information is included in, or rather can be inferred by this packet, the packets that are being sent out, it means that you can tell what type of manufacturer, and thus like maybe get some more information. Maybe you can tell when specific types of devices come into the neighborhood, and that could very well be police equipment. So if you wanted to make the opposite of Shot Spotter, which is like one of those distributed microphone things that hears shots and calls the police, you could make Cop Spotter, which I guess would just be a series of distributed Bluetooth receivers with LoRa that tell each other when they see a police officer's body camera. So lots of interesting, weird things that these mesh networks enable. And specifically when you have types of people or like agencies or like vehicles equipped with specific equipment, you can definitely make it easy to track them across a relatively large area, especially when you have these distributed mesh networks that also have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi as well as LoRa built in. Let's see. All right, I'm not going to get involved in the discussion about Yandex because I don't know enough. Yeah, so this is one thing that I've wondered about is you always, when you're putting things up, you want to make sure that you're trying to not alter, the way that the antenna works or other things that would give you good reception. And I've really been violating this in my current designs. I have one of these designs where I had a 4 dBi antenna that's like smushed and is like mostly flat, but then curved at the bottom and then supported with hot glue on the back. Is that going to compromise the way the antenna works? Probably. Yeah, it's not ideal what I've been doing with this, but I've been trying some of these out and making sure that you're using either something that is transparent to the radio frequency you're trying to use, or poking the antenna out of the fixture so that there's nothing there. Those are kind of two of the predominant ways of thinking about how to do this. Currently, I've been using a lot of hot glue to allow me to expose antennas directly on the outside of these materials, but I'm going to have to see what it looks like to have an internal antenna inside of a like PVC environment. Oh, also, so I shouted out to all of you last week asking about 3D printers. And after discussing this, talking in the Discord server, and also talking to some of my friends, we ended up getting a bamboo printer. So pretty excited to try it out, mostly because we got the add-on that allows you to do multicolor printing very easily. It's a little bit wasteful, but I'm excited to see about some of the artistic applications of multicolor prints with some of these bamboo printers. So if anybody in the audience has a bamboo printer, you have anything you would recommend? My immediate thought was trying to do like glow through prints that have a couple of different colors and then are able to kind of like transfer light from like a PCB layer behind it through like a printed design. So I've seen some pretty impressive art and I want to give this a try. So if you have any experience with bamboo printers, or if you have any ideas for how we could use the multicolor print function, I'm really excited about it. And I think it might be one of the number one things I'm looking forward to. I've been using our Prusa for like almost 3 years now, 2.5 years. And I've been really happy with it for the most part, but being able to do some of these higher temperature plastics and having like a sealed enclosure is going to be really exciting. So if you have tried one of those, yeah, do let me know. I think, do 3D printers use cups? Please let me know. No, 3D printers, I think, do not use cups. At least mine use Octoprint. And because you're not using the cups, the cups application, I think you should be fine. This comes from like attempting to like print something and then having the default printer be set to a malicious printer. So in order for this to happen, you would need to attempt to print, and then when it prints, have that malicious configuration be the default, and then hit print without looking at it. So there are a couple steps here. There is user interaction involved, and none of them are what I need to do in order to send a 3D print to my printer. I personally use Octoprint running on a Raspberry Pi. I think that it is fantastic and very, very useful. So yeah, no, I don't think that 3D printing makes you more vulnerable to the cups vulnerability. Let's see. What type of bamboo? Yes, great question. So I had to do a little bit of thinking about this myself. Let me pull up this bamboo website. All right. So weirdly, at least like when I was doing this, it didn't seem as though I was able to buy one of these from like Amazon. Like you had to get them from their website, which is fine. I also don't know why they are talking about their Black Friday sale. It's, you know, they're like, hooray, Black Friday sales here. And I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, are you sure? But anyway, they have a number of different printers, and this is something that has become increasingly popular. There's a lot of people talking about these printers. So I want to talk about like what I kind of decided on and why I did so. So I actually, to kind of get the review out of the way, like I split the difference between the A1 and the P1. And the big reason for this is I wanted an enclosed version that's maybe a little bit faster, and I don't need all the features of the, like, I think there's like another like C series somewhere around here. So let me select 3D printers and let's go through. So the P1S is the one that I believe ultimately ended up getting. Yeah, I think the P1S is the one I ended up getting. And this like filament management system is pretty cool. It means that you can in a single print have it automatically change between colors, which I've never done before. This kind of seemed wild to me. It also is able to, like, you know, filter out some of the fumes and emissions from this. So if you're printing in an area where maybe you don't have amazing ventilation, that's great. It has a camera built in as well, which is very useful for being able to see what's going on. And yes, some advanced technologies. Now it doesn't have some of the really crazy stuff that are in the like even more expensive version, like the LiDAR scanner, like some of the other things. But this definitely seems like it's more than enough to do some pretty crazy stuff. I think I really want to show off like what some of these color prints look like, but I'll hold off for now. For the other printers, come on, compare all. There we go. Okay, so this was the one I was initially considering, the X1C. Now this one is the one that has like LiDAR and has like AI built into it to be able to detect like spaghetti, like all this stuff that's very useful. But it is like twice the cost of like the P1S. These are also currently on sale, which was a big reason why I was considering this. So the P1S is basically just the A1, but inside an enclosure, and it's a little bit faster. There are some other upgrades, but mostly these two printers are the same. You'll notice this one is even cheaper, and it's also on sale. So looking at these various ones, there's also like the A1 Mini. The A1 Mini is an even smaller version of this. I mean, the main difference just being that the bed size is smaller. So if you're printing really large things, or if you're printing a lot of things, or on like a industrial scale where you want to print like a lot of things all at once, then the A1 Mini might not be what you're looking for. So I, again, split the difference because I could buy two of these, this one and this one, for the price of this one when they were all on sale. So I am going to be trying these out in advance of Hackaday SuperCon. It's really interesting to see kind of like where we're at with what these printers are capable of doing, but just showing off like what the high end one, which again, I ended up not going with this one. They promise some pretty crazy things. Now, again, a lot of these are going to be also available with the other ones. But yes, the child print something. The LiDAR scanner is probably what like interested me the most, like, and the calibration, like linear calibration as well, like being able to do that automatically and make sure that the bed is perfectly level and there's no defects on it. Like that all seems like super useful and cool. It generally seems as though that this is something that allows you to, for example, in this case, like combine a bunch of different like filaments. And this is actually something I don't like, where like they have the RFID in the filament, and I'm like, are you gonna make me buy only like genuine like bamboo filament in the future? But the point anyway is that you can do support filament. So that's filament that then can get removed really easily, and you can swap that and make it so that it's either dissolvable or, however you're going to remove it. And then you can do multicolors and create these things that look like honestly really stunning. So I don't know why in these videos they don't show off more of the just like stunning multicolor prints that like really attracted me to this platform. But I think it's going to be one of those things that makes it so, oh, okay, there are some here. One of those things that let you do things that just wouldn't have been possible before. And that's really what interests me in this. Now, the downside of this is waste. You can get a Prusa that allows you to have a bunch of different like nozzles all on and operating at the same time where there is no swap. But the waste here comes from when you're changing between filaments, it purges the nozzle. And sometimes you'll get like 50-50 purged filament and then actually like created product. So lots to talk about with this new system. Like this is where like AI also might actually be interesting. Like imagine like, you know, paying double, but then getting the ability to always know that a print before it starts isn't going to have a flawed foundation, and it's not going to have like some of these initial flaws that could cause it to come off the bed 90% of the way through, where maybe you want to set a certain probability and want to make sure that if you think it's going to fail because it's like for sure got like a problem that's easily recognizable, then this will inspect it and then tell you if that's going to happen. So yeah, pretty cool. Definitely looking forward to trying this out. I think it's coming in like 2 days actually. So yeah, possibly even as soon as Friday, I might have a report and like a first little layer. Now, one of the things I was definitely excited to do was make QR codes with this. So because I can make a QR code on the top layer and then the rest of the layer solid, I could easily make a lot of QR codes and then just stick them to things and have them last a really long time depending on the material I'm using. So that's pretty exciting to me because I think that you can also make tiles that are just like a colorful first or second layer, and then the rest is, you know, all just substrate, and then tile those things together into even larger pieces of art that will fit on the bed. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think that I don't know why there's a Black Friday sale. I don't totally understand that, but I do appreciate that these printers are something that a lot of professionals are starting to use and have come highly rated by both people in the community and then also people in my circle. So yeah, thank you to everybody who made recommendations when we were talking about this, because it definitely is exciting to try out some new tech. Okay, I think we are just about done. I see people are discussing a little bit about microcontroller exploits, and one of them that's cool that's also being discussed is glitching, where you're able to bypass some of the functions that are initiated at startup on the microcontroller by basically cutting power at strategic points of its startup process. Super cool, and love that you can just smoke microcontrollers and it costs you like $4. All right, still going through the comments. Let's see. Pair the printer with a robotic arm and you're lit. That's actually the one thing I don't understand why we don't have a better version of. So in the back, we have a printer that is a like infinite Z printer. It's got like a belt, and what it's designed to do is print on a nylon belt, and then the belt rolls, and it prints at a 45-degree angle, which is super weird, by the way. And the belt rolls it off and drops the part in a bin, and it just prints forever. That's cool, but it doesn't work. And after I bought it, I apparently was following someone who the person who was promoting it, Naomi Wu, did not like, and did a super block where she not only blocked them, but then everyone that was following that person. So after I bought this printer, I immediately found myself blocked on Twitter by the person who had basically convinced me to buy it. So between not getting great support and then like some of the other issues with this printer, I just don't really use it. Like I find that the prints on it are super rough. It's not supported in most of the common slicers. And I've never gotten a very good print off of the CR30, unfortunately, even though it's an interesting printer. So that was really the only printer I've seen that addresses the issue of taking the prints off the bed. If you want to have an industrial printer, then you're kind of limited by like the time it takes you to get prepare it for the next print. So having a mechanism for doing that is really important. And the Infinite Z is an interesting idea. Like it seems really cool. It just, nylon is not always the best substrate once it gets messed up. Like it seems a little difficult to like tension it or like otherwise get it up and running again. It's definitely a complicated machine. And for $800, I kind of wish that I hadn't got it, honestly, because I definitely haven't even done that many prints from it. But yeah, so I don't know who is going to solve the issue of getting the prints off the bed, but a robot arm would certainly do it. It would probably I don't know, also be a lot more expensive, but I feel like a nice, well thought out way of clearing the bed is going to be like one of the next things that changes the way that 3D printers work. So I also want to throw it out there. What are you preparing to be for Halloween? I've seen a lot of very creative projects, and I myself have a couple cooking. So if you've got some interesting hacker Halloween ideas, please share them with me. I'm always looking for good ones, and I'll be, I think, in the Los Angeles area, walking around, hopefully spooking people. I've got some pretty notorious costumes that I've done fairly recently. So if you're, and also please do not tell me Saddam Hussein's hiding place. That has been recommended to me too many times. I love this technology community. I do as well. Naomi Wu blocked me. Not on purpose. So I think that eventually I was unblocked, but it was basically anybody who was following a certain person that she got in a fight with. There's like an extension you can use, or there was back when Twitter was Twitter, where you could like super block someone and basically block somebody and all the people that follow them at the same time. So I got caught up in this wave of like revenge blocking, and I was just like, cool, I got my new printer. I'm going to see what Naomi says about setting it up. And then I tried to go to the Twitter account. And it's just like, oh, and we'd only ever interacted positively on Twitter. So I became aware that it was nothing personal, but it was certainly discouraging to like buy an $800 product and then like feel like you might have personally offended the person who sold it to you. But yeah, like overall, it's a really interesting concept for a printer. If you haven't seen the CR30, I'll pull it up actually, because it's I don't know if it's going to become a relic of 3D printing advances, or if it is going to become something that maybe gets resurgence. But this is the CR30 print mill. It's, as I said, a very cool design. You can expand it. And the idea is like if you're printing something that wouldn't print on a normal 3D printer, then you just do it at an angle and you print it forever. Now, what is the shortfall here? Like, why am I not in love with this thing? Well, slicing it. Like, it has this crazy slicer that comes on the USB stick that like until recently, like you couldn't really download. So does this have downloads now? Like I would be shocked. So we've got the product manual, we've got the belt firmware. Okay, that's interesting. And then software and Drive 3D print, like slicing software. Okay, yeah, so we've got Creality Slicer, and honestly, like Creality Slicer sucks. I hate it. It's like a fork of some other software. It's like not very good. And because I can't use other slicing software, like it really is irritating. So I actually haven't tried this in a while. I might actually give it a shot now that I'm trashing it publicly on the stream and see if I can get one of these releases to actually work for me. But I found the Creality Slicer crashed all the time, created files that just like didn't work very well. And I was just sad that this great idea didn't really work out the way that I was hoping for, because yeah, it seems like, right, if you want to just make a whole bunch of things and just have them falling off the bed, then there you go. But unfortunately, this just didn't quite live up to my expectations, or it was a little harder to slice things and get really clean prints than I was expecting. That's really it. I think the quality I got out of this was just like not enough that I would feel comfortable ever like selling them. We ended up making like buttons with this, and like I was able to create a whole bunch of buttons with this where I was just creating buttons all the time. But they were like of the quality where I didn't feel comfortable doing anything other than giving them away, like whenever necessary. So yeah, I love this printer, seems super cool, and yeah, I wish I was able to do more of it. If you haven't messed with Merlin firmware, try it. It changes the entire behavior of the printer. I am really interested. I also have to point shout out again, your name, Waxing Gibbous, is my favorite phase of the moon. So every time you comment, I do notice that. So question, what happened to Nullbyte? I just found your new stuff. Sorry if you've answered this before. Yeah, totally fine. Actually, we are making new content for Nullbyte. We submitted a while ago and we're waiting for feedback on it. So if you stay tuned to the Nullbyte channel, hopefully if they like it, then they'll get back to us and let us know when they're going to publish it, and we'll have some new content coming out pretty soon. So Nullbyte ran out of money, and it was never my channel. I started when Nullbyte was just a hacking forum that had recently had the majority of its community ejected like a supernova. So as a result, I had to start kind of from scratch, hired on a lot of new writers, and then started having some of us appear on video. And in a collaboration with my friend David, we created the Nullbyte channel from scratch, but it was always owned by the parent company, Wonder How To, who went out of business during the pandemic. So it was funny in that we had so many episodes in the bank that nobody knew that they terminated their contract with us until like 6 or 7 months later, maybe even longer, because we just had like, no joke, like 20 something episodes that they were just stacking. So we were a content machine back then. We were making tons of episodes. We really got things down so it was easy for everyone. So I miss those days. I'm hoping to get them started again, but we have got new content creators from a variety of backgrounds. We've got a lot of things that we have been preparing to release. So yeah, hopefully we have some new content on Nullbyte coming up in the near future. All right, so I think that is just about all the time we have today. I want to thank you for hanging out with me as my computer hard crashed and I had to completely restart from scratch and also do the demo also from scratch. So if you didn't see it, I did a little demo on using Kicad to make your own footprint. We've done a couple other demos on creating Kicad art, on kind of just figuring out how to use the Kicad process to make a PCB that isn't purely just functional, but is also beautiful. So this is, of course, in anticipation of Hackaday SuperCon, which is coming up soon. I'll have more to report on that, but just cross your fingers and hopefully my board will be able to get in on time to be created and actually functional by then. So thank you to everybody hanging out on the stream today. If you want to support the stream, you can always go to varonis.com/Kody. That's Kody. And if you've got questions, comments, concerns, ideas, or if you want to shout something out that I should cover on the stream, make sure to leave it on the YouTube channel. You can always join us live here. And of course, we also have the Discord server. The Discord server we used to have a short link to, but somebody reported it for spam. I guess the .lol domain is not well respected in the community for some reason. So instead, I believe the best way to go to our Discord server right now would be nugget.dev. But either way, I'll drop the link in the chat. So yeah, that's all we got. So thank you to everyone who's here. We'll see you again on Wednesday on Friday when I'm going to go through all the hacking news, hopefully with Killian again. And then I'm going to be flying out after that to Los Angeles for Halloween and also for Hackaday SuperCon. So if you're going to be there in Pasadena, please let me know. I would love to hang out and see you guys. I always meet the most creative and interesting people at SuperCon. It's always an amazing time. So looking forward to it, and I will see all of you on Wednesday. Goodbye, everyone.